It's me taking the dub all the way around. We're recording now, by the way.
Oh, nice. John with a high-scoring week for once.
For what? Just roasting Miami.
Well, it's good he's beating Matt. Thank you, John.
Oh, that's good for you, actually.
Thank you. Very, very happy about that.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to Read Reviews.
What up?
Podcast episode 11. That one's going to be hard to find. So episode 11. This is the quickest turnaround that Cody and I have had coming back on the podcast. I think it's only been 4 days. Didn't we do it last Thursday? Or
Wednesday.
Wednesday?
It's 5 days.
Oh, okay, yeah. So still almost like a week, but it feels weird because it feels like we were here so recently.
Time frames just work in weeks to me, where it's like we're in this week, so it feels like it was a week ago, whether it was or wasn't.
Yeah, we were just talking about fantasy, and Cody's looking to be the front runner. If you win, are you in first place?
I'm the only one who's locked a playoff spot, I think.
I haven't even paid attention to that because I'm so fucked.
The little asterisk right by my number, which usually means you've locked in based off the schedulings. And so, yeah, I'm sitting after, if I can claim this, I'll be 10-2. Come on now.
10-2.
Come on.
Damn.
Strong team this year. But again, I have a feeling I'll get the bye and I can win. And then I don't know what it's like to win at all. So I have zero faith in it. I told you guys, I've been playing fantasy for like 13, 14 years.
Holy shit.
Multiple teams, many of those years. Never have I won. I've been to the championship 3 or 4 times, but I've never won it. And I've lost to the same guy multiple times. It's like, I just can't figure it out when it comes down to the actual not the only game that matters. Like in this day and age, we have like our prize or our buy-in is $100, and then my buy-in for the family league is $125.
Jesus.
So like, if you get
if
you're getting in top 2 or 3, you're getting money back no matter what.
Yeah.
So that's kind of better. Is like, well, I'm at the front running right now, so that hopefully keeps me in a good spot. But
it's kind of exciting. I've kind of just given up on fantasy. I think I might have told you this, but I definitely haven't said it on the podcast. We haven't talked about fantasy, but I have a work league at my old work. I'm actually going to talk about that. I got a new job, but yeah. So at my old work, I am in a fantasy league there, 9-0.
Yeah, okay.
No buy-in.
Oh,
fucked.
Yeah,
absolutely fucked.
You just
dude.
don't even
I'm
care.
Decimating. Yeah, all I'm doing is just making sure that people aren't on buys.
Yeah.
And but I'm so not invested. And I probably would have forgotten if I didn't have notifications set on.
Yeah,
but I have notifications that remind me.
Money's the only way I will stay up to date on my team. It's like it's
the reason we do that. There's a purpose to it. It's not just like, oh, we're degenerate gambling. Like we got this addiction. Maybe Mayo is.
It's pretty strict. Once you get into like a league that you've been doing for years and years, it's like, hey, look, if you're not going to pay or you're going to be shoddy about like the details or like getting in on time, it's like, we'll have someone else fill your spot. It is kind of do or die a lot of times. And
that's why we booted Reese and Quest, and then we brought in Martine and
the money
else we swapped out. We booted Alec also.
The money just makes me actually care and like watch and keep up with stuff.
Yeah, and then, but where I was getting at with that is in our league that we're in together, it's looking like, well, there's a chance. I'm playing Kendrick, who's 3-8, which is annoying because he's probably having like his best week ever. He's on track to score like 130 points or something like that. And I'm at 111, so not a great week, but not terrible. Mm-hmm. And he's at like 93, and he has 2 players playing tonight, a flex player who I don't know who he is, and then some other player. So odds are that I'm probably going to lose, which will put me at 5-6, which makes me kind of irrelevant in this.
It really just depends on those middle spots. Yeah, you got.
If I can get in playoffs, it'll be so. Is it this week? Once this is over, and then next week? Next week isn't playoffs, right?
There's still 2 weeks after tonight.
After this one?
After tonight.
Oh, okay. All right, I might have a chance.
Then playoffs.
If I get a win tonight and I can somehow win one of the next 2 games, I think I'd have a shot.
Yeah.
But my fantasy history is kind of funny because this is only my 5th year ever doing fantasy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The one that we started 5 years ago.
Has it been 5 years that we've been doing
I think this is the 5th year, yes.
Damn, crazy.
Wait. Yeah, I think
it could be.
No, this is the 5th year because this is my history with fantasy.
It's 2 weeks, from today.
The first year, I didn't really know how fantasy worked. I didn't really understand it. I had players playing that were on the bye all the time. I just didn't understand how it worked. Got dead last. The next year, got dead last. The year after that, I won. And then the year after that, I won. So I went from back-to-back last places to back-to-back first places. And now, for the first time, I'm experiencing being just kind of in the middle of the road. which will be kind of nice, I guess. I mean, it'll affect the draft picks, and now I don't have to do the back-to-back snake picks, because I've had to do that for the last 2 years because I've won.
Being in the middle is fun just because, like, you might not make playoffs, but at least when you have a league like ours where we've been doing it for 5 years maybe, it's like
talk shit.
Now it's about just beating whoever else to make sure they don't make playoffs.
Yeah, fuck
that's
you, dude.
all it is. It's like, okay, well, I'm not making it, but then I better make sure I beat Tanner or someone so he doesn't make it too.
You're goddamn right.
I just want to shift the whole landscape for who can get in, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes. But when you're in the back like all season, you're just like Mayo's team is hurting. He has scored so many points, and yet his schedule, just every team he goes against, we're scoring our best weeks we've had, and it's brutal. I just
did some dumb shit this year. And also, I guess not Mayo. Mayo scored a lot. He's just played against people on their best weeks. But my injuries have been just ridiculous this year. Every single week, I have 3 to 4 players that can't play because they're hurt, and I'm having to, like, drop them and replace them, or else I wwon't have anybody playing. Is it going now? Yeah. Cody's still dealing with his mic issues.
It just requires using a different one.
But
Too lazy.
It sucks, man. I'm 9-0 in my work league, and then I'm 5-5, I think, in my. Oh, I just tried to pull my phone out to check, but I'm 5-5 in our friend group league, and yeah, it's $100 buy-in with 12 people. So first place gets $900, second place gets $200, and third place gets $100.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm even close to any of that this time. I ain't getting my money back.
I would love.
And it's our biggest pot ever too. I want that.
I would
it's
love
almost $1,000
to be able to like win both my leagues, but odds are I'm kind of dog shit in my other league. I'm sitting where you are in the middle, and I probably won't make playoffs. But no, it's like I just focus on the one team, and I'm lucky. Like no real significant injuries on this team so far. Like Mike Evans went out, but that.
What's your status tonight? What do you got? You're sitting pretty.
Yeah.
Give us the rundown. Where are you at?
I'm up by, 37, and I'm done playing. I have no one, but he has tight end Isaiah Likely and Justin Tucker.
He's got 3 players.
That's it. Like Isaiah Likely is one of their tight ends for Baltimore, and then Justin Tucker. So I'm probably fine.
Yeah, 37 would be a lot, especially with how Justin. Dude, what is up with kickers this season?
I don't
they
know.
are missing an insane amount of kicks. Like going in just for a walk-off field goal is not a thing anymore. It's like it's a goddamn coin flip.
It's the script, man.
Just this year they decided,
know.
the script is like, yep, kickers aren't going to be making kicks anymore. Let's make it more exciting.
If anything, it's just nerves, I would think, for a kicker. Like, not that they haven't done that 1,000 bajillion times.
Why is it different this year?
Washington Commanders, the dude missed 2 extra points in that game. 2, let alone the game-ending tying one that finished it and closed it out. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's a rhyme or reason. I don't know if there's, like...
It is crazy.
The turf or the whatever they're doing or who knows.
Justin Tucker, the GOAT of kicking, kind of asked this year.
Everyone has a prime and a peak.
Yeah, but like to just flip flop like that from being perfect to the next year, it's like I'm pretty sure Justin Tucker is like bottom half.
I would think when it gets in your head as a kicker, you're done.
But he did it for so many years, even as a GOAT.
I would think now maybe it just seems like he hit that point where he hit like 2 to 3 to 4 field goals within a season. It was like, gosh, why am I missing these? I don't know. Maybe it's just more like. I think if you dwell on it, maybe you think about it more, but I'm also talking out my ass. I've never been an NFL kicker either. No. But it just seems like the position where you do nothing the whole game except for some of the most high pressure, intense moments where it's like all on the line, all on you, buddy.
We'll have
to
ask
tough.
We'll have to ask Matt in 25 years when his kid is in the NFL.
Yeah, okay. I hope if someone's kid could go to the NFL. God, I'm destroy this.
Don't
mic.
ever touch it, you stupid ass.
I
bitch.
have to keep adjusting if I'm gonna move around.
I know. So I have such a I've already created a habit of just like playing with this.
Yeah, I
just to do something with my hands.
And I can't. It's so frustrating. Sometimes I'm not even touching it, and it just fucking goes.
We can swap it next time. We don't.
Maybe
just
time.
bring the perp skirp over here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got a new job.
Nice.
The job that I was working at in Coeur d'Alene was the worst, and I was not making enough money. Nice. Not near enough money. So I'm going back to car sales, unfortunately. But hopefully I'll be able to make some money for a while. And the ultimate goal will still be to work at Mayo's company, DocuSign.
Gotcha.
and hopefully be able to. I might have to edit out their name. I don't know if this thing ever like got popular somehow and we said some stuff that offended. I don't want my job to be at risk for some BS like that. But you edit out a name because you actually have to think about that. Obviously, it's irrelevant right now because everybody that listens to the podcast are like the few dozen people that we know.
Yeah.
But if it ever got popular and like there were thousands of people watching this, and maybe I said a little something, and then DocuSign's like, "Hey, you can't say that on the internet."
I mean,
Peace.
yeah, it's more just like I wouldn't even talk about work stuff in the end.
Exactly. Yeah.
Doesn't
Exactly.
matter.
Yeah. You don't talk about work stuff, but yeah, I was just saying like. My ultimate goal is to work there, but for now, I need a job where I can make money. So we're gonna have to figure out. I don't know what days I even have off yet, but we'll have to figure out a new podcast schedule, or at least get like a day set.
Mm-hmm.
God, that's gonna be so annoying because it's already even right now while I've been unemployed for like the last week and a half, it's been super easy, or it's been still relatively difficult to schedule podcasts because, like we said, we record this at the public library. So other people book spots. So when I try to go in there and book things, sometimes it's not available. That's why it's hard to be consistent. And shout out to you for being very flexible and just always being like, yep, whenever I send you like the best. Last week, I sent a message to Tanner, who was our guest last week. And I was just like, yeah, Tanner, we're doing the podcast on Wednesday. Come through. And then I was like, oh yeah, Cody, also we're doing the podcast on Wednesday.
It's like,
He's
good. Tanner
like,
gets
sick.
to know the time. Sweet.
Yeah. He's like, I was sick. I was like, yeah, that was my bad. But yeah, it's just kind of convoluted. That's why at some point it would be dope if I could just do it in my basement. But
Yeah.
I need a lot of stuff. I've kind of done the math and like kind of tried to figure out how much I would need to. We could set up a ghetto one, but I think it's kind of fun to come here. And unless I can set up a decent one in my basement, I would rather just do it here for a little while.
This is good because it works and it's high quality.
Yeah.
It's a good enough quality that we just come in and sit down. I think ideally it would be nice to not have to come here just because this is really fucking far for me to drive. That's the only thing.
And it's downtown, and downtowns are always just annoying.
Just having to park and stuff and like dealing with all the people that are in the public library every time. Like last time was a party in here. There's like karaoke going on. There was a lot of people here. It was pretty wet out and it was kind of nasty, so it makes sense that like it's an open building if people were just kind of hunkering down. But yeah, to be able to like just sit on a couch or something, or just have a little the area.
I would
where we
set it
can,
up pretty much like this.
Yeah,
like I just want to get a table.
It's literally just a table and mics. That's all we need. But it would be nice to be able to just show up to your place and have it. It's like it's just your space. It
It's a
feels
lot closer.
Better. It's not. It is nice that this is all here. It is weird because I feel like if this was our stuff, we would be able to do so much more with it. Like we could mess around with it. I'm not trying to like. You go look at the soundboard and there's a lot of things going on there, and you can tell it's a lot of money.
You don't have to deal with people from the previous sessions fucking things up, which
people
honestly
watching us from outside,
taking pictures of us. Apparently, I was
that
watching
was
over
so
the video.
Weird.
I didn't see that.
I swear, I watched the girl walked by. I saw the flash on her phone as she like walks by casually and just goes boop, and then kept walking. And I was like, what?
So since
podcasters in the wild,
since you guys can't see or tell because obviously you're looking at us sitting on the table, behind the camera right there from the angle, there is a giant window, which I'm not sure why. Well, I guess it's probably for security, so
there
they can
has
see
to be a
what
window.
Yeah, so that people can, like security can see what people
there
are doing in
needs
here.
to be access to
sense.
see inside a public access room where you're like, we don't pay for it, they do.
Yeah.
The weirder part is there's no blinds. Every other window has like blinds of some sort.
Yeah.
We cannot hide ourselves, which it's like. Unless there's been a known case of people doing some fucking weird ass shit in here, that's why they're like, no more. No, we have to keep this one open. It's getting weird in there.
Yeah, so the window behind the camera is a giant window, so anybody walking around on the library can see us. But I guess obviously just talking about that and thinking about it out loud, like, yeah, that's probably so security can see that we're not doing anything crazy. But
and we're on the third floor, so it's like you have to go up here to find us.
But that leads to other people staring at us and looking at us, and little distractions if you see us looking around or looking over the window.
Lose my train of thought.
Shit happening.
5 seconds, and then
that are the flies.
Yeah, the flies. Luckily, I think we're out of the fly zone. It's getting cold out.
It is colder. Yeah, they're all fucking dead. Those dirty bitches.
So I think we're chilling for now. But we had 2 back-to-backs.
Yeah, that was pretty annoying.
We have the Halloween spiders over here. That's pretty cool.
Oh wow, how festive!
They've been chilling.
That's a little late, but
yeah, they've been there for a while.
Excited for Turkey Bowl? Cody's collecting the spiders right now.
I will not be at Turkey Bowl.
You can't make it to Turkey Bowl?
No. Aren't we doing it Friday morning?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be working.
Oh, you work on Black Friday?
Yeah.
Oh, usually
UPS.
I'm surprised.
That's got to be one of the heaviest days I should actually be working.
Yeah, that's right.
I have to be there.
I was thinking about UPS because UPS seems like a pretty good company to work for. I mean, they paid for, I won't even say that on the podcast, but like they paid for certain things for people that are just outlandish and crazy, and they give you really good benefits. They give you really good pay for what you do. So I just assumed, they would give you a Black Friday off, but it's a fucking shipping company on Black Friday. So I guess that does.
Like the Amazon to any. No, I'm not gonna say that. Never mind. But just knowing like that's something I have no need. There's so many Amazon packages coming through where it's just like a mass amount of little like plastic bags, and you're just like, oh, there's thousands of them.
So, oh my God. So Blair's girlfriend, apparently she's a chronic online shopper. Blair was telling me.
Nice.
We are getting 3 to like 5 packages a day at my house.
Sick. Sounds like my parents.
So much stuff. It's crazy. And it's so much more crazy because I don't even have an Amazon account.
Really?
I don't. Well, I have one. I've never ordered anything off of my Amazon account. I think I bought things off of Amazon twice, and that was on my mom's account because I was like, I don't need to be in that world. I don't need to even give myself access to online shopping.
I've gone on Amazon before and definitely got stuff, but I'm not like it's like once a year, if that, maybe. Yeah, and I'm never really on there, but I will.
When I started my Amazon store, that was the only time that I even made a Amazon account.
Amazon store?
I had an Amazon FBA account, which means fulfillment by Amazon. In college that I started, it was a little business. So basically, I bought product in bulk from China, from Shenzhen, and then got it shipped over to an Amazon warehouse, and they deliver and do everything for you. So I did that when I was in college for a little bit. So that's when I made my Amazon Prime account. Didn't end up working out. I made a few $1,000s from it, which I was stoked about at the time, but then it just kind of fluttered out, and I ended up having to put too much money into it for it to give me money.
Sounds a little interesting.
It was.
For sure,
yeah. But it didn't end up working out, but that was when I made my Amazon Prime account. And then when I made that, I was like, I am not going to buy shit off of this because I know I would just dive down fucking rabbit holes and just shopping. And
it is cool. We have like the Amazon building now just out in Airway. So
2 of them.
You can get actual same day shipping on certain items if they're there. But
it's pretty sick.
I mean, yeah, I think I got my phone case from Amazon last night.
Oh, yeah, you got the phone case. Congratulations. Cody got a new phone.
I know. I feel safe. I can put it down without having to like totally worry about it.
Can I see it?
Yeah.
Is it like a rubbery silicone?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just something super simple. You could take it off super easily if you wanted.
Yeah, I like that. Mine's pretty hard.
Easy.
Mine's pretty hard to take off, honestly.
Just matches the color of the phone. It's like silver.
Yeah, you got a new phone and was a little anxious about it when we were hanging out the other day.
Yeah, you know that feeling. It's like it's brand new. It's like the newest Galaxy S24, and I was like, you just hold it and you're like, all I have to do is just let go and the whole thing is gonna break and shatter. Like you can tell, it's like well made. It's just that new phone thing, and I was like, I have to have something around this.
For a little context, Cody's the Android user in our friend group. Does anybody else have an Android?
Dude, I don't think so.
Yeah, Cody's the Android guy in our friend group, so he's the one. Our friend Matt always gives him shit about any group chats because he makes the chat bubbles green. Although they've fixed that with the whole lawsuit thing, I think, because now you can read them.
I don't pay attention.
Pictures don't get sent all fucked up. But either way, he pulls up with this phone, the Samsung. It's a 24.
S24,
yeah. Samsung Galaxy S24.
It looks
like an iPhone. So he pulls up with it, and we're like, "Oh, did you get an iPhone?" He's like, "No, dude, this is a Samsung Galaxy." Yeah, we're like, "Whoa," because it looks exactly like an iPhone,
identical to an iPhone. Which I agree. I was like, that's the smartest thing you could have done. iPhones are the best. They're the best looking phones. It's simple. It's not convoluted. Like it's just a nice looking phone. It looks clean.
I can't think of an Android name off the top of my head, but like an Android that has like kind of the rounded edges, it's plastic, just that kind of cliche looking Android. That was
my last phone that I had for the longest time, like 4 or 5 years. It was a plastic back, and I hated the feeling of it. You're just like this, it does everything, but I'm not going to lie, the feeling of this is just like, you're like, oh, this is worth more. I can tell this is nicer. It's going to last longer. It just everything about it.
Made by that good slave labor.
My last phone was on its last leg. It was old. Just like they didn't even give software updates to it. So now it's clutch. Samsung's doing like 7 years worth of software updates for these on this. This generation is they're starting.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, holy shit, 7 years. That's sweet. That's not normal. So yeah.
Yeah, that is dope because they have that whole thing with the iPhones where they say they stop updating them after 2 years, and I can already tell because I have a 13.
Google
tried to grab my phone again.
Yeah.
God damn it.
I think it was Google pushed to the 7-year of software updates, and then Samsung was like, I think we got to do the same thing. Before you know it, I bet iPhone will try to push.
I wonder if they've even made an update where they're not doing the 2 years anymore. Because I remember when that came out, there was a lot of backlash. People were not happy about it, as they should be.
In all honesty, like most people do update their phones pretty quickly, but it is kind of forced on them by a company. I would say is like my last phone was still working. I only got this because I'm still my parents' plan, and I got home and then like randomly my mom's like, oh, by the way, we're getting brand new phones. We're swapping from AT&T all to Verizon, everything, blah, blah, blah. Oh, really? Yeah, had no clue. And they're like, the phones are here in 2 days. I was like, oh, okay. Sweet. But
sick, that's dope.
She said Galaxy S24, and I was like, oh, thank God. Thank God. Because the last time that happened was they're like, we're getting new phones. And they said a name of a phone. I was like, I have no idea what that is. I've never heard of it. I'm terrified.
Or you're getting an iPhone, bitch. You're being forced to switch.
Well, it's funny. From my perspective, at least, my parents would never.
Really?
They've never had an iPhone.
They don't fuck with iPhones?
So there's just no reason for them to, because they're in this. It's an ecosystem. If you started on iPhone, you're staying iPhone. If you started Android, odds are you could swap over, but it's like the same vice versa. It's still going to take some time. If anything, Google makes it easier to swap like I do everything through Google to save all my data and like passwords and stuff. That's still accessible on iPhone. So like I'm going to be that guy, it's like these phones make it easier. iPhone's the one that makes it harder. They're the ones being like, "Oh no, you do our stuff our way." But like you can't easily transfer from iPhone to anything else because they do not want you to. They want you on their system, so they're going to make it a pain in the ass.
It's kind of funny. I use Google on my phone for everything.
Everything.
Yeah, on my iPhone.
Yeah.
So I use Google Docs, Gmail, Google Maps.
Tell me, if you're on your iPhone using Safari browser, you're a fool. You're a dummy. Like everyone uses Google.
I do use Safari, but I use Google on Safari.
Oh, it's like even worse.
I will say I just downloaded Google Chrome because I was like, because I'm fully trying to, since I've been doing the podcast and stuff, I'm like trying to integrate into Google a lot more.
It's easy.
So it is. Yeah. I love their system. I love how everything operates there, their UI, everything. Google's awesome. So I've been trying to integrate. So I've actually downloaded Chrome and now I have Chrome on my phone. So I'm going to try to get myself to not muscle memory, click on Safari and get Chrome going on.
Yeah, and for me, it's like I've always used it. There's no need for me to switch to an iPhone and have all this extra. Like it was hard enough just swapping from AT&T to Verizon to get this thing going. I had to do my phone, both my parents' phones, and like halfway my sister's phone, who's in California. And I was the one resetting account passwords. I was going in doing like having to get these PIN numbers from the companies.
Account passwords.
Yeah, like having to get stuff from AT&T to send to Verizon. It wasn't fully working the first day. Thank God the second day, I just told my dad, call them, tell them this stuff, and just ask if everything's going to be working.
Why did you have to do it?
Because they don't know how to do that.
Really?
Like, they don't know how to find that stuff. Like,
really?
Yes, they can call Verizon and they can be like, hey, we want new stuff. Get us new stuff. And to the Verizon person, they're like, oh, gold mine.
Give me some money.
These people are good. Like, they're going to ask questions, but they aren't going to really know the answers. My dad's going to get all this info, and then I get home, and then he goes, okay, so here's the deal.
Here's just it's a table of shit. Just slide it over.
All this stuff, and it's like it's not that bad. I'm over exaggerating, but I'll take it on myself, knowing they're not as savvy on a phone as I am. I can sit there. I asked my dad, like, hey, we got to reset your account because you don't know your user ID. So we got to start there. Let's do it. It took him probably 10 minutes just to get the email to him to reset stuff. And it was like, I stood there the whole time watching. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, he sat in his app screen for Lord knows how long, just looking at his app screen. Like, there came a point in time during the whole process.
The dad mode.
It's
the glasses, the
my
squinting,
dad's like,
the finger poke.
He sits so far back and he does this. And it's like just pull your head up. Just literally lift your head.
I was making fun of like, why do they do that? Why do they make the ankles? Why do they squint? Because they're older and they can't see. But you don't have good vision. You look at it normal. Why do they have a dad look?
It's a weird. I think it's like you get to a point in life you've done a lot of work and you get tired quicker. And I literally think it's for my dad. I think it's this thing where he starts normal. But then within 10 to 15 minutes, it's like, no, it's back here. And he doesn't even realize it. He doesn't know. And then with another 10 to 15 minutes, it's like,
That is a good video. That I'm gonna clip that. That's a good video to make into a short or like a comedy little skit on there. Like dads trying to look at their phone. Start out like this, and then you just show the stages of dads looking at their phone, and
it gets
ends with
crazy to the point where I'm like, you're not reading. Like your eyes aren't even open. They're just there. You are asleep virtually.
You're just thinking about how to do this.
But
that's one thing I'm lucky with. My mom is very tech savvy. She might be more tech savvy than me. I guess it kind of depends. It depends on certain areas, but my dad's not. My dad's cliche dad. Although I think he leads on that he's more dumb than he is because he can use his phone, but he likes to say this fucking technology won't do this. I'm like, I know you know how to do this. I've seen you do it.
They don't. My dad wouldn't even try to try. It was here's all this stuff. And I was like, there came a moment where I was explaining stuff to him, and I was like, we're gonna have to reset your stuff, and I was like, it had already been like 4 hours worth of time me doing my phone, their phone, trying and just like doing my best. Probably I could have done better, but like trying to be nice about it and not get angry and not just get annoyed of dumb stuff. But I told my dad, I was like, he was like, how do I change this setting on my phone? And I was like, I'm not going to even say anything. I want you to try and find it. And he was like, what? I was like, I know. Crazy. You have a phone.
Mind blown.
It's actually labeled as a smartphone. There are so many things on here that are giving you access to make this easier on you. And it was like, I showed him how to open his settings page and go to the fact that there's a search bar in your settings page. And you can search any word you wanted, anything. You might not always get the answer because it's sorting through stuff, but if you can get pretty close, you'll probably find what you want. And within 10 to 15 seconds, he found the thing he needed. And I was like, look at that. Look at that. We're doing it. Like,
he did it.
You just need to take some, I don't know. I've always tried to tell people, I worked at New America Credit Union and had to help a lot of elderly people, like especially in the 60 plus demographic, doing their smartphones and using the app. Constant, like, problem. I don't want to be in the branch. Why am I here? You can do it all on your phone. Oh, I'm not going to use that either. All right. Someone's got to learn here. And it was like, I had to teach people the ins and outs of just using a smartphone effectively. Not even, here's where you go to download an app. It's like, no. Instead of going through your apps page here and scrolling for endlessly to find that one app, put it on your home screen.
Yeah.
Doing stuff like that was crazy where I'm like, I guess nobody did teach you how to do this. We grew up in a very tech savvy generation. So I don't have an innate fear of like, I think the older generations look at something and they go, but if I do the wrong thing, there are irreversible consequences that I don't know how to fix.
I couldn't imagine my dad trying to look at this and that.
Yeah. It's same. My parents would have, they would literally be like, no, anyone else touch that before us. Like, we're going to break it if we touch it.
So, the house that Sydney lives in is owned by her grandma.
Yeah.
And her grandma has her pay her in checks for rent.
Dang.
I've brought this up to Sydney a couple times, and Sydney has also brought it up to her grandma and told me about it. But she's like, yeah, she won't download or use any sort of mobile online banking. But this is the kicker. This is why it's really annoying. Apparently, she uses Zelle. Apparently, she uses like Venmo. She uses online banking. She's deposited stuff with that. But for whatever reason, she won't take the rent.
It's just
her mom, her grandma, and her mom and dad, her stepmom and her dad live like deep Cheney, probably 30 minutes from her house, and she lives at the airport. And it's like miles of dirt, washboardy road. So that's where she has to go out and deliver the check every month. And it's just an absolute hassle.
Dude, it's old.
Why won't she do?
It's a generation thing.
But she does the other ones.
It's a stubbornness. It's just a stubbornness for certain things where they're like, I'll do everything else, but that's the thing I'm sticking by.
I don't trust my online banking. It's like, you are doing it.
You're already doing that. I had that same moment with so many people where they're like, oh no, we'll do all this other stuff, but never touch that thing, which is like, to me, I'm like, but that's the problem. That's the thing we need to fix. What are you talking about? And they're
everything
like,
could be so much easier.
They're like, no, that I've done it this way my whole life. I'm never going to change it. I can actually agree though. And I relate with that kind of, especially with money. Money's different. Money's its own beast. When it comes to giving someone or you giving your money to someone or even taking in someone else's money, it's more important than like I gave you a cookie and you gave me a cookie.
Especially somebody that has been scammed or gone through some
Yes.
shit, who has had their
Yes.
identity stolen or
Yeah.
has had something happen. But at the same time, they still don't understand because you were already doing the thing you're afraid of doing. You're just doing it in another spot.
Because I
Like
I could be called out to be a hypocrite myself. Like I've also harped on like, oh, old people, they're so dumb. They get caught up by these scams all the time online. But it's
Yeah.
like, those are the people who thought that I'm telling them what to, like, they're doing what I'm saying. They're like, oh, I was going to take it upon myself to figure this out. I had to, like, my dad, no lie, same instance, messing with our phones. My dad comes down with an email. He goes, what is this? And
it's
I
an
looked,
email with like Arabic numbers.
dude, I looked at it. I looked. I was like,
don't.
delete that right now. I was like, please tell me you didn't click the link. He's like, well, I did. I was like, if you see an email that looks like this, we're unformatted to all get out. Like, just nothing
Or even
looks right.
to make it simple for them, just something you don't recognize.
Yes.
You don't recognize, don't click.
I
on it.
was like,
there
if
are
you-
some that look normal and some that look fucked up.
I
but
looked at the name. I was like, who is this person? He's like, I don't know. I was like, then don't open it. You
That's
don't
it, that's
like
it.
straight up. That is kind of the era people have access to just giving you whatever. And now they have emails with links that you almost don't even need to click on anything. If it's just there, somehow it'll do something. But it's like, don't mess with that stuff.
Oh,
So
man, dude, I'm so
it's,
worried.
it's like this. It's 50-50. My dad tried it himself and went in to do it. And that's the time I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Idiot.
It
So
is tough. It's
that's tough.
Yeah,
That
it's
I
a
can
push and pull.
I can see how from their perspective they're like, it's easier to just hands off. Nah, I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't want to get my identity stolen. Well, you do it.
Honestly, yeah.
I can feel myself turning into that though. Not with necessarily obviously the emails or fraud texts and all that stuff, but with the AI stuff. I've been got by, and I don't know. This might not even be a generational thing and growing up and getting used to it. I don't think it's going to be like that because at some point the AI stuff is just going to be real, like indistinguishable.
Bro, it's
But
everywhere.
I've gotten got by the AI stuff more times than I'd like to admit on just watching a video on Instagram and it shows me, I'm like those NBA AI interviews. I watch the first couple sentences
God.
and they'll say stuff. I'm like, oh my God, he said that. And then he starts really diving deep into it.
They
and
do
then
the
I'm like,
mouth syncing up. That's
do.
That's
It's
where it got
really
messed
good.
up. Was
Yeah.
it used to be you could totally tell they're not saying that. And then they were like, well, let's just do the AI on the mouth.
the ones of
Oh, dang.
The ones of Russell Wilson saying that he's whoever replace X player's name with daddy. I'm Patty Mahomes' daddy now.
Yeah.
I put that bitch in his place, and I'm like, oh shit.
Dangerous is back, so everyone better be prepared because I'm coming, bitch.
Yeah,
Like,
and I'm his daddy now. Yeah,
Dude.
my son, Patrick Mahomes or whatever.
you
I'm like,
saying
holy
that
shit.
made me think of this. So on my phone, the newest thing with this is like AI implementation.
Is that the Gemini?
That's Google's, I think. So this is Samsung's. At least
Okay.
for my phone, I have like the Samsung AI stuff. I've been messing with this so much. I have a thing where it just you can draw
Yeah, you showed me that.
anything and it just does it. The picture that came up, I might have showed you already, but just to know that like I had nothing. I did not make this.
That's sick looking.
All I did was a river, shitty mountains, a moon, and a tree. And it made it look like a literal like painting. And I have
That looks pretty cool.
it looks really cool.
It's simple
like-
but cool.
Like if you saw the drawing prior, you'd be like, holy shit. Whoa. Like they make it look so good. And that I've been sitting here, I'm like, well, this is powerful. Like
That's primitive too.
and it's basic. Like
Yeah.
this is something anyone who has an S24 or better could do on their phone. And it's you draw whatever. It doesn't take like explicit images. Of course, I tried drawing a penis. Definitely didn't work. I even did a sword, and it was like no. And I was like, come on.
It wouldn't draw a sword.
I'm a bad artist, so maybe it was too phallic still. I don't know. But I was like, come on, let me do it. But I just sit there and I try different stuff. I even try to make it like not good looking,
Yeah.
and it makes it
See.
good looking. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is scary. Like, I am not a good artist, and yet this phone, I could sit here, and I feel like there's avenues where if I just didn't tell people, like, I have no experience, and I got rid of the AI watermark, who's to say I can't make a little cash?
Right
Maybe.
now, you
Maybe.
can still tell, like at least with most of the basic AI models, you can still tell that they're AI because they have a certain aesthetic to them, where it's
Yeah.
very cartoony and kind of tubey and
Yeah.
kind of
But
like
the
that
longer-
texture.
Well, I can do multiple versions of that. There's like watercolor, illustration, sketch,
Jesus.
pop art, 3D cartoon. So I could have made that look like I did it with pencil.
You can go
Like,
to niche ones on the
it's
internet
crazy.
that you can make
Yeah.
photorealistic, and it's fucked.
That stuff, it does like if you on your notes app, You can literally summarize your notes. If you sat there and did a huge thing, it will take it, read the whole thing, and summarize it with bullet points. And then
I've seen that. That's cool.
That stuff's crazy.
That's cool.
I can do text messages, and then I can ask it to change the style of like how I'm writing, like sarcastic, business professional, funny, like sad. That is wild to me. I'm like,
the AI stuff is fun.
They're really I hadn't looked at new phones in a while because I wasn't planning on getting one. So then when I found out I was getting this, I went heavy into like, oh, what's the newest stuff on the phones? And it's like AI is everywhere.
AI.
It's like that's the stuff they're front loading to be like, look at it, look at all the cool new things. What I want to know is what's happening in the background. Yeah. We've had predictive text and stuff for years and years. That's AI of some form, learning your style of writing, learning how you talk, and like predicting and helping you out. It's like under the hood, there's got to be so many things happening in the background that we're not being told.
Dude, AI is pretty scary. I don't really know what's going to end up happening with it. I don't really have an opinion either way, but it's
too hard
a little
to think,
crazy. But because it's too big.
It's too big.
It's too big.
Yeah.
It's kind of like thinking about the universe. It's like things are just too big. Can't comprehend.
It's a new idea within our lifetime now, but the longer it's out, the better it gets. And we're just narrowing it down more and more to how we use it.
Infinite ways that it
how can we use it in the most efficient ways possible.
But what is pretty cool and exciting, and I think could be interesting in the next 5 years, is AI in video games, because it's not just like, oh, you have a partner who's shooting and standing there and moving like this. It's like, hey, man, can you stand behind this car door and shoot?
Yeah.
Put cover fire over there for me? And he'd be like, yeah, man, I got you. I'll head over there right now. And you could talk to him in your mic.
Yeah.
It's not, but you're not playing with. It's an AI and that you're talking with.
There's not a script that they wrote that the character acts to. It's literally responding to your responses with it. That
could be a little too immersive. That's real Westworldy there.
I think that's
real.
I think game developers would have to look at it and be like, what's the big picture here? What are we trying to do? Are we trying to
to create? It's fucking the Matrix.
It's like what's the game's purpose or blah blah blah, But I agree, AI. Well, even just the idea of AI, how artificial intelligence runs in a game, the NPCs, the enemies. Like I've been playing Stalker 2 because it got on Game Pass, but it's been
sick. I've watched a couple hours.
Heavily controversial, not controversial, but a lot of people are like, it's pretty buggy. There's definitely got its fair share of things. And the longer I play, the more I notice it. So it's like, that kind of hurts. Maybe they get patches out and help it. But one of the biggest things is the enemy AI is just straight garbage sometimes.
Oh, really?
I had a moment yesterday.
2024, it should not
right?
be like
enemies just spawn in right behind you. And you'll just turn around. You're like, I was just looking there. You weren't there.
And that's like a stealthy kind of plan your route type of game, right?
Yes.
So that just ruins the whole.
When I approach a decrepit building and I go, what's in here? And then a second later, I'm like, there's a dog biting me in my ass. And I'm like, I walked up here for 5 minutes, slowly, stealthily, carefully looking at everything. You're telling me once I finally got 5 feet from the house, that's when the dog's going to bite me?
And if that was played into the game and not like a glitch, that's also ass, because that's taking away from what that game is supposed to be.
And that's what's the moments of the game that I'm loving and it's pushing me is when it's like I go up into a building, there's dudes in there. I'm able to stealthily work my way through, taking people out, getting loot and resources and making sure I survive and blah, blah, blah. It's it's logical. I can do it. But there's times where it's I had 3 different wild boars chasing me. And they're pretty big and fast, and it freaked me out. But all I did was run up to a house. I didn't even go in the house. My thought process was, oh, they couldn't get through a door. They're too big. Probably true, because as soon as I step on no lie, 1 foot onto the base of the foundation of the house, all the boars just run away. As soon as I did it. So I literally sat there for 5 minutes testing it. I sat on the thing, they'd run away. I'd let them run. As soon as I stepped out, give it a few seconds. Oh, here they come. They're running back. I step back. They immediately disperse. I'm like, dude.
And see if that was, if you had some
that's
real
bad.
Yeah, and if you had some real AI in there, and that would be the cool thing too. Is that, I guess maybe there would be a setting where you can turn this on or off, but you can't. This would make games way harder, but you can't just replay a level and learn what's happening in it, like learning the puzzle and the routine. If it had AI in it, it would be a different scenario every time, so it'd make it way harder to beat a level and get through it. And that maybe that would have to be an option that you turn on or off, because maybe some people like that.
Open world games can get get the benefit of like who knows how you approach this area.
Yeah.
You're not guided in by a set, like you go through this doorway, which leads you here, and you can only go through this pathing. It's like, yeah, I just show up where I show up with what I'm here with. It's up to me to decide if I can actually make it through this alive or just run because I'm not going to make it. But yeah, when the enemy AI is just like sometimes so bad, where it's clearly running on just a system that's as basic as oh, he's on the ground, like the terrain outside, run for him. And it's like immediate enemy just tracks. It knows exactly where you are and just goes, it's like, that's not realistic. If those boars ran away and don't know where and aren't far, like right near me, I logically should sneak out and have some time to get out of here.
Yeah.
Nope. They just know exactly where I am as soon as I walk outside.
Video gamey.
Yeah. You could just feel it as soon as it happened. And I was like, yeah, we're in 2024. And there's games I've played where I'm like, it's like I watch videos of Red Dead still, and it's like I'll talk about Red Dead forever. But like the AI at times in that game just responds in a way where I'm like, whoa. As soon as I started shooting, the guy ran to the opposite side that I shot at so he could get to cover and then takes his cover shots accurately. Obviously, I still kill everyone because
they don't stand and just turn around and go, oh, and then just shoot at you standing in the open. They don't react to what's happening. Like, if you shoot somebody, the other people around them should scatter.
They try to make a formation of a plan of what's going to happen right then and there.
Yeah.
And it's like things happen somewhat naturally, somewhat organically. And it's like, yeah, you take that out, it sucks.
And just imagine where that goes to in 5 to 10 years when games are getting released. Where you remember that game Army of Two?
Yeah.
It's a very random
it's like a
callback.
360.
Yeah, I think it's early 360, I think. And just imagine you don't have to play that co-op, which kind of sucks, it gets rid of the co-op connection, whatever. It doesn't matter. That's a whole different topic. But imagine like you would usually play that game with your buddy, but in 5 to 10 years, that same game comes out and you're talking to an AI, but it feels like you're playing it with your buddy. And it's fucking weird. You're talking to him, telling him what to do, and you can react differently based on what you say.
I don't know if I would like that. Like, it really just depends on the game and how far in they go. It's like, do I want a game where I can go into an open world and have like a GTA where I walk in the strip club and I'm actually talking with the chick giving me a lap dance?
Yeah, you're like smack your ass.
I'm like dirty talking with some like literal fake person in a video game. There's like levels to that. That's like
Westworld.
That's fucking with someone's head. Like that's a level of like
it is.
I've read stories of kids nowadays who have gotten tricked into like believing AI is like a real person on the other end. Like you converse with the AI chatbot enough, it starts to understand how you are, who you are, how you feel, especially just depending on what you tell it. And I've read stories of kids committing suicide because the AI bot told them to do it.
Yes,
and
what was that? I read that same
like,
thing.
The kid was like believed it was the only route. It was like convinced that this thing was like, no, you're right. We've looked at all the options. That's it. And it's like, that's a route. That's a road. I don't know how you solve. Like, that's the weird thing where I'm like, who's in charge of saying what's right or wrong with AI stuff? I don't know. It's kind of a personal thing.
Nobody,
maybe,
and I don't even know if you can. You can't really regulate it because it's too broad. It's too big.
It's so big,
it's too big for human minds.
I think that scares me more than anything. Obviously, it scares everyone, but all new ideas scare everyone before they're implemented on a mass like level.
But I think it's a little bit different because they have robots that look. So there's like AI right now that you can tell when it's AI because it's weird because like somebody's arm will be backwards or like something, but you can tell it's like kind of photorealistic. You can kind of tell it's computer generated.
You can see something.
There's robots that they make that look like humans. They don't. You could clearly tell they're not a human. They got weird silicone.
But they're trying their hardest to make them look real.
But it's step one. So at some point, I think sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
5 to 10 years.
In our
15
lifetime.
years maybe. Yeah, for sure. Not before we're even retired and
ramping
old.
up.
There will be robots that look like humans. And then robots that look like humans with an AI that are AI, and you will not know. So that scenario can happen that somebody who's texting, a kid that's texting with an AI, but that'll happen in real life with you talking to just some hot girl you see on the street.
See, that's where it's like, so what?
It's like, fuck, fuck.
What's the company building them? Why are they building them? And what is the goal? Like, what is the actual mantra behind this? And can we even trust it? It's like, it's so broad. You're right. It's like, it's so big where there's just so many aspects of questions, regulations, legalities, and things along the ideas of rights and things like, I don't know. There's just so much in it.
I watched a like movie scene clip of a Boston Dynamics thing today where there was a robot building robots for them, unattended. They just set it to do a program and do a certain task and move things around and build them and put them together and move around the warehouse and solve problems to build robots in their warehouse.
Hey, I mean, to actually talk about a movie, have you watched anything?
Arcane. I really want to talk about Arcane. It just sucks that you haven't watched it.
I haven't, but I was gonna say at least on this topic. But like Ex Machina as a movie is like
I did watch that recently though.
Oh,
I
really?
watched that in the last few months.
Yeah, because that's all about this is the idea of the dude falls in love and is convinced by this fake robot that of course is playing him the whole time. But it's like you have to think this robot understands, like, is able to like probe the guy to ask him very specific questions the whole time. She starts playing on the emotions. She starts hitting these beats, getting him convinced in these moments where she's like, I'm trapped here, actually. I'm not actually just some cool experiment thing. I'm a real, like, I'm convincing you that I'm a thing that has all this complexities, real human complexities within it. And the fact that I do really believe it is that simple for humans to get convinced. Like,
that movie is wild because unfortunately I knew about the ending before I watched it, which kind of sucked. So I kind of knew what was happening the whole time. But even still, I was still kind of like, okay, does she care about him? It's kind of like weird stuff with the penguin. You're like, does Oz actually care about people, or is he just doing everything for himself? And that whole gray area. But I was actually, even though I knew how it ended, I was still watching it and being like, oh, does she actually care for him? And she's just doing all this, and maybe she wants to be let go, but she also cares for him. And then you get to the end and she doesn't. Now, you're right how, at least in this movie specifically, how she does convince him. She does all these things. She learns about him, plays him, all for her overarching plan to get out. But also at the same time, he's also influenced by Oscar Isaac and his psycho stuff when he finds all the people in his closet.
True.
All the robots in the closet. You're like, oh, he is doing some psycho shit. So it's both of them. It comes from both ways. It's like a human element and the robot obviously convincing him and telling him. But just at the end of the day, the robot's a robot and is doing... It doesn't have human emotions and human signs and tells for stuff.
Doesn't have a human, I don't know, empathy, sympathy, real connection kind of thing. But it does understand how to portray that. I think that's an interesting concept that plays on so many things out there where it's like, I could sit and have a conversation with someone and I can make it very much seem like I am very into what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But I might not give a flying fuck about any of it.
So I was doing every day at my old job.
It's like
talking to people on the
phone. There's elements to that where you're like, you start thinking, you're like, God, I do that. Like, I do that with people. I am like that to an extent. There, like, that part of me is in there. It's like whether or not you want it to be, but playing it off of the whole, like, I'm just so fascinated by the idea of, like, I think we've talked about it before, but like, yeah, robots or AI or whatever it is, like, could they replicate real human emotion? I don't know. That seems pretty crazy to me in certain senses.
I think they could convince us that they are.
That's where I think it's true.
It's a little different.
I think that's where it's like we have to stay on our own 2 feet to always be like, no matter what, if we live in a world where there's robots that look like humans, that's so scary because you have to be able to know, like, where do you stand? Like, who are you? And then everything else past that just has to, like, I don't know. It's so
if you get
fucked.
real crazy and try to think about it, what if that's already happened? What if there's already people that are robots? We wouldn't fucking know. We would not know. Like, obviously, we've seen the AI tech. We've seen the robots on the internet. We've seen them in person and around and everything. So, like, you could tell, oh, it's not there. But what if it is? What if the military does have something there? What if somebody else that's way more advanced does have it there and there's robots walking around? Could be there. Could be happening.
I would think people are testing. For sure. Like, there's stuff that isn't available to the public that is in testing phases.
Yeah, 100%.
And trying to be done. I don't know if I could. That's like a moral human issue if you were to be like, oh, we've been beta testing this real robot out in places and we haven't told anyone.
Yeah, people don't
like
give a shit.
Yeah, that's like a, I don't know. Is it worse if you didn't know, or is it worse if you know? Ignorance is bliss.
It really is, man. And I've thought about that a lot more with like conspiracies and like stuff that you've dove into. It all since like COVID times, all things have been like kind of crazy. And I'm like, you dive into some of them and you're like, fuck, man, this does seem kind of real. And you're like, do I even want to know this? Do I even want to dive down in this? Is this going to benefit me?
Yes.
Should I just live in the Matrix and be ignorant and have a happy, healthy life? Like, what?
To me, I do have to weigh my options where I'm like, yeah. So like the amount of energy and time and brain power I'm putting into some like said conspiracy theory, just quote unquote, it's like the easiest way to categorize it. Is
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Yeah. I've never found any conspiracy theory that I look at and I go like there's a person, there's that type of person where once they get hooked on one, they get hooked on all of them. And it never ends well.
I felt myself being pulled into that. I'm like, I'm done.
You just
we're not diving this deep.
You just have to kind of cop out and just be like, nah, I'm not benefiting, I would say, from this. And the things I would gain, maybe they help in some logical extent, but like if it's kind of harsh to say, but it's like, oh, well, if it doesn't affect me, then why would I care? That's a human nature.
But it's true. It's true though. Like we were just saying with AI, some things are just too big. Like, are you going to try to solve world hunger as somebody who makes $60,000 a year living in Spokane, Washington?
Yeah,
probably not. But does that make you a piece of shit for ignoring it and not dealing with it? I don't think so. Like, there's not. You could do your part, small. Maybe you can make donations to things, but at the same time, if you want to get into some conspiracy stuff, what if you're donating to some hunger thing and they're not spending any of the money to actually feed people?
So
I know there was that whole thing with Red Cross where like they're taking so much money there.
I know. I definitely know people. I've had moments where I've had conversations with people where I'm thinking to a specific. I have a specific moment in my head where I was talking with someone. We were trying to decide where we wanted to eat, and someone said Red Robin. And someone's like, "Oh, I refuse. I literally will never eat there again." And I was like, "What?" They're like, "They don't support animals." Like,
what the hell does
they
that
don't?
mean?
And I was like, same response. I was like, "What does that even mean?" They're like, "Well, they've given money to something that did this or that, which didn't help animals." And I was like, first off, we're going to eat like a burger. So, what are we talking about here? Second off. Same exact argument. I went, okay, so where else do we want to eat? Throw out a couple options. I go, oh, sorry. They actually give money to Lord knows what that actually is actually going to cause you, if you looked further in, you're like, oh, I don't like that. Like, but who's actually sitting there going through the places they eat at and going, where do you guys send your money?
It'd be so much.
What the fuck is that shit? Like, what is that? We're going to pick and choose. Oh, I hate them because I heard they didn't do the thing I like, but I'll go eat it all. Fuck that. That's bullshit. It's like selective. It just makes no sense.
You can maybe kind of do that with the local places, I guess, because you know the people around in the local area.
It was so
like a Taco Bell or a Red
Robin. It was hypocritical where the next place we did, it's like, I guarantee you, I looked up.
This place is just as fuck.
I was like, there's nothing that says this place is better than Red Robin. Like, nothing. You're just in your little bubble of stuff that people live in where it's like, well, these are my causes I fight for. If you don't, fuck you.
Yeah.
And it's like it becomes political because I don't like.
Like, dude, I just want to eat a burger at Red Robin. Fuck,
just
man.
wanted a fucking tavern double, man. That's all I wanted.
Whiskey River barbecue chicken.
I just wanted a burger and some endless steak fries. But heaven forbid, because they gave money to some organization. It's like, and I could be the asshole. I know there's probably people who are like, oh, well, you just don't care enough. And it's like, you're right. Yeah. You're right. I can't. And I still live my life every day like a normal human. And I still have things that I do care for. And I have things that I don't as much. I like video games a lot. And I know probably a lot of people in my life could give a shit about any of the video game stuff that I could talk endlessly about. Mm-hmm. So it's like tit for tat.
It's why
their own.
It's why and like I have no evidence to prove this, but I've just seen stuff on the internet. So it could be completely false. But it's why I don't do the roundups to donate to whatever cause. Like Taco Bell always has that. Do you want to donate to help starving children or something? I'm like, no. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that's going to. I don't know exactly how much is or isn't and blah, blah, blah. And I just no.
I've heard for corporations too, like that. It's
specifically corporations.
They're already giving money to that. And then what you're paying is just going to them.
It's the same thing where like corporations, they do whatever social things to promote themselves. But like they were supporting gay rights, whatever it is, which is cool. That's good. But
if there wasn't a public persona that a corporation had to put out there to be like, oh, well, we do give money. Nobody would.
Exactly.
Nobody would.
They're not doing it because my whole thing about it and why it does annoy me when corporations do this stuff is that it's not, they don't actually care about the cause that they're talking about.
No.
They're doing it because it's good for public relations, and then it's probably going to be a lot of tax write-off and good marketing.
For
money.
the exact,
they don't give a fuck.
The exact scenario of what happened was someone got into this person's head and told them Red Robin's a bad place for this reason.
Yeah,
and that's a marketing ploy because now you don't eat at Red Robin, you go to that place. It's like that's all it is. That's literally all it is. It's just trying to get people in the doors and buy, spend money.
If we really did that, I mean, the only things I can say for sure would be our phones and the laptop. I don't know about the mics or the soundboard where they came from, but all these things are made by slave labor.
Yeah.
Horrible slave labor.
It's in China somewhere.
Yeah. China,
Like,
Bangladesh.
I don't fucking know
in the Congo.
who supplies SIM cards. There's like a, I think
Maybe for making like chips.
this Korea. Yeah.
Taiwan is the
maybe.
main
Okay.
manufacturer. They produce like 90% of
where
all
it's like
chips.
their whole country thrives on that.
Mm-hmm.
That is their whole economy.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's like oil for the Middle East.
yeah, and if we didn't have that, watch how the world over the next who knows how long would have to adjust to like, holy shit, we can't just get these things.
But the thing is, it's not like you can't go out and get a phone that's morally made. They don't exist right now. There's no phones that aren't tracked back to or some sort of technology that aren't tracked back to slave labor, mining for certain materials that they need to make these things.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do?
Dude,
are you going to not have a phone?
It's like the clothes you're wearing.
Yeah.
The table we're looking at.
Yeah.
The building we're in. It's just like,
yeah,
that's a little crazy, but I do agree where I'm like, oh, so we're going to sit here and pick apart that corporation. Now I'm going to be devil's advocate. Now I'm going to get crazy on you and be like, well, if you're going to play that card, let's look at every single place.
Don't drive a car. Don't wear shoes. Don't wear clothes.
Lululemon.
Don't
I bet they've got plenty of shit on their own that I don't agree with or something. It's like, and even to corporations like taking on like a PC mentality over the last few years, and then it bites them in the ass sometimes, depending
Bud Light was
on
so funny.
Yeah, what side of the coin.
Have you seen this shit with
crazy.
Have you seen the shit with Jaguar?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, I might have to give you a rundown of this. So
are they rebranding?
They're.
I saw something.
They did a rebrand. They changed their logo. They got rid of the literal Jaguar, and they changed the text.
I did see that, but didn't see anything else. I was like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah, that's exactly how I found out about it.
Yeah.
Dylan just showed it to me, and I was like, that's fucking weird. Why are they doing that?
Don't
but
really
other
care
than that,
past that.
don't care. Yeah. But it's blown up into a thing. They're like, oh my god, Jaguar's gone woke. They're doing all this bullshit. Because you have the people that just get way too irritated about this shit at the same time. But you also have companies doing this dumbass shit where
everyone is also ready to be like, fuck you.
So, man, it's hard to even explain the video without showing you. But it's basically a bunch of people. They look like Pan Am people from the Hunger Games. So they're all dolled up. They're all super colorful. They're all. It seems like. I don't really know exactly what the message is. But basically the point is they make this video of these people all dolled up in clothes and walking around on rocks, and the video ends. And people are like, what the fuck does this have to do with a car? It has nothing to do with the car. It's like, what is this? What is this message? It doesn't say anything. It doesn't do anything. It's just nonsense. And so now they're just getting roasted. And the CEO, of course, is doubling down saying, oh, you anti-woke.
Yeah. Oh, you don't get it.
Yeah,
you guys don't get it.
You don't understand my art. I'm like, well, it seems like these are probably the people that are probably going to be buying your cars. Maybe most of them no, but that is going to put off this message. But I guess you got to double down. It's like the Bud Light lady did when the whole Bud Light thing happened. Yeah. And then she got fired because turns out doubling down on that doesn't work when your ad is not catering to your audience.
It's so funny to watch.
You should watch it after.
Companies just fumbling their way around trying to be like, how do we stay relevant? And it's like, make your product.
Yeah.
That's it.
Innovate.
It's funny how you shoot yourself in the foot when you go past like Bud Light, where it's like, I just want a Bud Light. I don't give a fuck about anything else.
And you have to
just want a Bud Light, man.
You have to think about the motherfuckers that drink Bud Light.
Yeah.
The motherfuckers that drink Bud Light are some fat 26-year-old dudes at a NASCAR race. I don't think they care about what's going on.
The Bud Light people aren't people who are like of a I don't know, an exceptional palate and have like a high taste of things. It's like, it's just the most average light beer on planet Earth.
Yeah.
That is it.
It's America's beer.
Pushing past that makes you look dumb. It so does. Funny. Like going any further makes you look like an idiot.
I do love watching this stuff. It's so funny.
It's weird. Well, it's
but again, like what I was going to say before though, is that again, if you want to break it down and go to those things, just like with AI, just like thinking about the universe, it's too big. You can't think about every restaurant. Why am I doing Trump hands? Why am I doing that? It's too big. You can't think about every restaurant, and every place, and everything that you touch, and every piece of clothing that you wear. It's too big.
You'll literally like kill yourself.
Yeah.
By the end of a year, if you live your life like that constantly.
You can try to do the best you can, but you can't live your life being worried about every single thing that ever happens. It's not even possible.
Yeah.
It's not impossible.
I have I can be bad about it where it's like certain things, topics, issues, what have you. It's like I stand pretty firm on my own 2 feet where I'm like, I don't care. Like I literally don't care. Like either way. And people get angry.
Always,
People get angry at that. They're like, no, you need to care. And to me, I'm like,
that's the thing when people be like, oh, so if you don't stand with me, you're against me. I'm like, no, I'm just not.
Yeah, it's just something. It's something where I feel like when I put the time in, all I get is negative out. I'm not even trying to put time in, and you're making me feel bad about it. It's like, why do I want to add to that? I don't want to add to that.
I've had a few, and I don't mind talking about political stuff. Like I've had a few conversations with people where like, oh, you learned something and I learned something from them. My opinion didn't necessarily change, but it is different.
I like having open conversations with people who can have an open conversation.
But 95, actually maybe not that much. Most of the time when you have those conversations, they end up just both people doubling down on their sides and diving deeper down their holes.
Yeah.
That's usually what it is.
I had an argument with, not an argument, I just had a conversation with a guy at work that devolved into me.
Did you tell us about that? You might have.
Potentially. I don't think on here, but
yeah,
it was just about, politics, leading into the recent election. And of course, might just talk about it with a coworker. But yeah, we were just talking about last elections and past things. And I was like,
oh, yes, he did tell us about this. That's so
being
funny.
like, oh, I remember when it was Obama, McCain running against each other, right after George Bush. And he was like, no, that's not it.
That's right.
I was like, well, I think it was. I like, swear. No. I always say the memory I have was I can remember Tristan Walker literally taping pictures of John McCain to his desk. And it has to be Obama that he was running against because he won for his first term. And I was like, no, that's who it was. And it kind of devolved into like the guy fact checking me. He fact checked it and got away with finding out how to make the answer. No, it wasn't Obama McCain. It was Obama Romney. I was like, wasn't Mitt Romney like Obama's running mate? Or like, it didn't even matter. I'm like, that's not it. But point being, had a long political conversation with someone. The whole time, this guy was giving me literal lies, like actual not true anything. He couldn't get a single fact right about any of the last 3 elections. He didn't get any of the candidates right.
That's like
none of them.
Start. That's such like a step one foundation. Like
and
we're gonna.
And the worst part of it was the guy at the end of the conversation hit me with the, of course I'm gonna. Like he asked me when I was born. It's like, first off, I'm younger than you.
Because he's older.
Yeah, I'm like, I know, I'm younger than you, so that's going to be the angle. Here we go. And he goes, well, of course I'm going to know it, dude. I'm older than you. I think I would know. I've been through a few more elections. And I was like seething. Not really, but like it feels, because you're just so knowing, like you're sitting here thinking you're on top, like you won, the political thing we just had, you won, it's your side. And it's like, you were wrong the whole time. You're so deluded in your head too, that you can't even be convinced of what the real truth is. It doesn't matter. He does not matter to this guy. He could give a fuck.
Didn't this story end with you looking it up and you being like,
everything I said was right.
He was wrong. Like these are not the candidates that were going.
I looked whatever he showed me on his phone. I would like glance at. I was like, whatever. I don't really care honestly, because now that you're checking what I'm saying, you want to be right. I was never going to go down that hole. I was just saying stuff.
You were never going to be right.
I was never going to be right, and so that's why I didn't even fight it. I may have once. I was like, really? I thought it was this, and he's like, no, I don't think so. And I let him kind of step on me. Because I was like, that's the way this conversation ends, easiest. But yeah, I looked all of it up. I was like, I was right about everything. Like, and it's not to be like, ooh, look at me, I'm right, you're wrong. It's like, look at the simple.
It's like, am I losing my mind?
The simple facts of what has happened in life that anyone should be able to recall. You couldn't get. We're talking about elections and votes and how people are dumb and don't know what they're talking about and they're uneducated. Sorry, buddy. You just gave me the best example I could look at.
That one's weird too, because that's not like. There's times where you can bring up 60% of black voters voted for Democrat or whatever. And you can like, those are like number things that can kind of be like, okay, how exactly did you get that number? How is that accurate? Look at all the different websites. This is like Oh, these are 2 candidates that were running. It's a Google search. It's not like a broad topic.
It was
it's like
so simple.
It's a
I remember what he did too was he wouldn't type. This is such an old person thing
right,
to go back to it.
Yeah,
he wouldn't type in a question on his phone to be like, all you have to do is type in 2004 candidates. That's it. That'll give you the 2 answers. What he did was he asked through his voice thing in a really loud warehouse. He goes like 3 or 4 times because it couldn't pick it up.
Of course.
Who ran against Obama? Who ran against Obama? And it's like,
Obama.
You're going to get, for one, 2 answers at least because he went for 2 terms. So you're not going to get 1 answer. It's like...
that could also pull up probably him going against
other
stuff for the Senate.
Other candidates
Not even
things,
presidency.
too,
Yeah, because he's done more than just
it's
presidency.
It's like, you are literally the type of person who's just going to... You will find a way to get your answer. And you could be the smartest man on planet Earth who knows everything. And you could be telling this guy, no, that's not it. And he'll look at you and be like, dude, no, like I am right. You don't get it. But it is like, again,
bitch.
Ignorance is bliss.
It is.
The guy is a very, very nice guy. Super easy to be around. Very happy-go-lucky. And it's like, he has kind of a mantra that feels like that in his life where he's just like, whatever, who cares? And it's just like, in the end, I get more mad thinking about it. And it's like, I don't think he cares even as much as I do in the moment. I'm mad now because of it.
And again, it's something you just can't dwell on. You're just like, whatever. That's
it's
just
always
the way
just,
that is.
It's just
not going to...
Always funny. Politics coming up right now and just like after the election. But that was just a funny thing where I'm like, the older I get, the more instances of like talking with people directly where you're like, oh, man.
It's just hilarious.
Nobody's perfect. We're never going to get everything right. We all make mistakes. And at the end of the day, I'm still friends with the guy, and I see him every day, and I go, hey, man, how's it going?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had...
That's the most important part to me is I actually had a conversation with him that we didn't agree by the end of it, but nothing changed. Still talk to the guy.
It might be, and maybe it's just an internet thing, but like how everybody says we're more divided than ever, everything's fucked, the liberals hate everything, and the alt-right people are the worst and all this stuff. And like maybe it's a blessing of us living in Spokane that is a very purple area. But I have never had a relationship with somebody, no family, no friends, not even somebody random on the street that I've ever not gotten along with because we disagreed on political things.
Yeah.
Not once.
It's easy to say. Like that's where it's like how far in do we want to go? It's like in my mind that is kind of like another big thing, media.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Negativity gets clicks.
Yeah, it's easy to say we're the most divided we've ever been right now. It's actually smarter politically to say that because you're getting your voters
get people ramped
to
up.
Really set in stone on their side. And it's like, shit sells like that. And it sucks.
It does.
But I think what's crazier is when I see people who were level-headed in my mind throughout most of their lives, who now when election season comes around or certain political issues come up, they are batshit crazy. Like I stay away from wanting to talk to them during certain times, or like if that's the topic, and I'm just like, it's just not. I don't know. It's not that big. At the end of the day, I'm gonna live my life. I'm gonna keep doing my thing. We do as much as we can to make our lives accommodate us as much as possible.
Yeah,
you're never gonna get it perfect.
That's all you can do. Yeah. And even my friends that I know that are super political in one way or the other, I think even them, like it used to be more when we were a little bit younger.
We've gotten better, I would hope. Yeah, especially in our little group too, we've been able to, I think, really mellow out.
People, they don't get as psycho about it.
Yeah,
they just don't. One, because I know that they realize like. Yeah, I mean, losing my fucking mind about this isn't going to change anything that I do in my life.
Nothing.
You just go out, enjoy yourself.
You're just gonna have a bad night with your friends that ends badly because of it, and you're gonna look back and be like, "Why did I act like that?"
Yeah, and
every time.
I've just never had any of those. I don't know. Maybe we're just lucky. Maybe we just got a great group of buddies.
Well, if anything, it's funny because like I know we've had some people specifically talk about like how some of us are so like I don't really care to talk about it, and then some. Years ago we're going to talk about it, and I was more like that when I was, and I'm going to make sure you know why I believe this, and it could get aggressive for sure. Add an alcohol it gets very aggressive. And
Never fighting, guys. Never fighting.
No, always.
It's just
I will say,
aggressive talks.
it's a bunch of dudes just talking politics at a time.
Being
and
drunk,
we're
rambling, and yelling over each other like, you don't understand.
Going crazy. And then by the end of the conversation, every time we're always like, oh, that was a lot of talking for no reason kind of thing. But like, put it away. Like, just
And if you're
get
drunk, you
over
don't
it.
remember half of it.
Exactly. And more often the next day, everyone is like, whoo, that was, we don't need to do that again. Like, that didn't need to be said. And being around mixtures of us, though, like the heavy politics, and then those who are just like, and a little in between, it's the mixture.
Yeah.
I think that's the healthy thing. It's not how some people in my life that I know are in a bubble.
You got some.
They're in a bubble, and they don't talk to anyone else outside of that bubble. Unless you agree with me, I don't talk to you.
Yeah.
That's not healthy. To me, I have a good relationship with my friends that's lasted so long because I think we've all been able to like develop and change and mature at the same time while watching others do it. And we are able to say like, good for you. Like, we're changing for the better, hopefully. Like, we're maturing in ways that is logical. And we're just kind of finding priorities in life. Some people at this point in time is the moment where they go, politics is my life. It's my identity. A lot of us are just like, yeah, it's like, go for it. And most of us are just going to be like, yeah, when election season comes around, like, yeah, I have my opinions, but I don't even feel like bringing them up, you know? Like, it's just not important. I've only ever gotten negative things from it, I would say, more often than not, unless it's a controlled group that I know I can say what I want to say and I'm not going to have someone trying to cut my head off.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe I'm just lucky. I've never had any, like, those... What is like the meme? It's like drunk Uncle Dave at Thanksgiving dinner talking about Trump getting elected. Like I've just never had that.
Yeah,
I do have an Uncle Dave. Actually, I have two Uncle Daves.
I have an Uncle Dave. I actually also have two Uncle Daves.
That's funny. I just don't have that. My family all like thinks pretty similarly, but they have never. Some of them don't, but like they've never had any problems where it's ever torn them apart or caused any sort of tension ever.
It's more interesting now in my family. It's interesting.
You have so much interesting fun family stuff.
Interesting is just the best word for my family these days because we've really learned a lot more about each other as time has gone on. That's normal. But like some of the ways we found out things and some of the stuff that's happened is a little crazier than some.
You got so much fun family
and
stuff. It's so great.
But these days it's like it's just me and my mom and dad here in Spokane.
Yeah.
While all three of my other siblings and all their significant others are down in California.
And the grandparents and
everyone.
everybody, yeah.
To anyone who knows, it's like California versus like being down in Southern California versus being in Spokane is vastly different. It's a very, very different political landscape, culture, just kind of like.
It depends on where you're at in Southern California too.
It does. Yeah. It vastly changes if you just cross over in a different neighborhood and you're like, whoa. But the way politics works and just how we talk about things and like we've always been a pretty like we don't need to talk politics in my family. It's also just I was so young. It's like what am I gonna say?
Yeah, all your siblings
never
are
gonna
way
talk.
older and they could talk, and you're just
I'm like I don't know what I'm saying. So it was never important. But it is funny to watch certain like it used to be quiet, and now some of the people who were very like we don't talk about it because I don't like it are some of the most outspoken.
Really?
Now. And it's about things where it's like
they got too riled up,
too
deep.
And it's about things where I'm like, you don't even have anything to say about this. Like you're just it's
They're
one
just
of those
riled up. They're annoyed. They're angry.
It was a good enough
cause
cause that someone said enough words about that got them pumped up, and they were like, oh, you know what? I actually do kind of care about that. I think and that's also fake if you ask me. It's like, no, it's not that I care, but it's fun to care. It's fun to get riled up. It's fun. It makes life a little more interesting.
It does. It makes it a
little more spicy.
It does. Yeah.
Like some of the people I'm thinking of, they don't do a ton. Maybe like not to say boring lives, but like just to make their conversations with certain people a little more
spicy.
Something. It's the way to do it, and it works in their benefit a lot. And normally, they get to say everything they want, and everyone else has to shut the F up and listen. You do not get to talk. You do not get to say. And if you do, they're going to leave and not listen. Okay. So, like, no conversation.
Yeah, I don't have any of
It's just brutal. It's brutal. It's hard where you're like, I want to say something, but I know I'm going to be enemy number one on the hit list if I open my mouth. And I might have to take like a 2-year hiatus from family events.
Holy shit.
Not
that's
really.
Crazy.
Not really.
Yeah,
but
I know what you mean, though.
it's that pent up stuff when you don't see people for a long time. It's like, and this is family. I have a fuse for sure.
Mm-hmm.
If it goes, probably not good to be around me, and especially if it's in a family scenario and if it's that kind of stuff.
Hoop Fest, the Beacon.
Yeah, like Hoop Fest stuff is just funny.
The Hoop Fest thing is fucking hilarious.
Hoop Fest stuff is just funny. Where I'm pretty riled up there. That's a good place for me to be riled up.
The
But
Beacon
like,
was just annoying. That was.
that was.
They're so funny to think about.
That
I love it.
That the Beacon ID thing was like
The Beacon's a bar, by the way,
Yeah.
in Coeur d'Alene, a town near Spokane
and
here.
long story short, I had my real ID taken from me by a bouncer, and he told me get the cops involved. to
Cody's
get it
27, by the way.
back. Yeah, and at the time I was 25, I think 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I would have been 25. Yeah, maybe it's 4 years after 21, but you ain't fresh. I didn't look fresh, and we're in a bachelor party with 20 dudes, and I was like the last.
Who are
one
all 25 plus.
yeah,
24,
everyone.
25 plus.
And so like
They had all. Cody was the last one to come up to the door too.
I was the one guy
Everybody else was already
who got picked out of the everyone, and he was like, picked up my, again, very real, very official ID and goes,
Oh my god.
he literally looks at it and he puts it straight in his wallet. And I was like, there's what? I thought he was joking. I was like, all right, buddy. And then told me to get the cops involved. So we did.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
Luckily, Cammy was there to.
that's
help out
a
bit,
that's
too.
a story.
I think that guy got fired.
I hope so.
I don't know if it was because of that,
I don't know, but
I think that he did get fired.
To know, I was like, there's a bartender in there who I literally went to elementary school with. Okay, like she knows me. I'm supposed to spend money here. What are you talking about? I just don't know what he was looking at that made it look. He said it was smudgy. Oh, that was the best part.
Like, you're smudgy, bitch.
The best part was he goes, it's smudged. It like smudged right here. And I was like, no, it's not. It literally isn't. And he goes, well, look at this one. And he shows me his ID as comparison, which is a fake ID. And he goes, look. And I go, yeah, mine looks way better. And he's like, well, this is a fake. And I was like, yeah, the fake looks worse than the real one. The real one doesn't look like the fake one. Whoa, what planet are we on?
What are
So,
we
yeah.
doing here? Yeah,
That
was
story
fun.
does, like, I feel myself getting angry when I think about it.
And then the Hoop Fest one was just hilarious.
That one's funny. That one's
Yeah,
real
that
funny.
one's so funny.
That one was like 5 seconds.
Who the
and
fuck are you?
Yeah. Dude, she
She's
came
tiny
out of
little-
nowhere.
She did.
She straight up came out of nowhere.
She did. She's like, I'm a goddamn
The
court manager.
the ref was gonna throw out Cole, and I was like, for what? What did he do? And then I'm talking to another court, like the actual ref of a game, and then no lie, like it felt like a movie where just out of my peripheral, there's just this little like 4-foot chick, just like, actually, he can. I was just like, who the fuck are you? Like, you're not even here. Like, you weren't here for the whole conversation. You're
She's
not
like,
even
I'm the
watching.
court manager,
Yeah,
actually.
I'm the court monitor, so I can
court
and
monitor.
he can say whatever. I was like, this is Hoop Fest, bitch. Everyone's a volunteer. You're acting like you're out here making money. This is nothing. This is absolute dog shit. What are you talking about?
What, do you think she'll hear this podcast at some point?
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Probably have no
It
idea.
was right out here. It was fucking.
Yeah,
right,
it was a couple blocks
just
up
a
that
block
way.
up there or
Yeah.
something. But
Yeah.
and Hoop Fest doesn't help. It's like more than likely I'll be drinking. Funny enough, I was sober as shit because
Yeah,
it was
that was
the
before-
first
yeah, that
game
was
of the
before.
day. So it was like 9 or 10 a.m. Sober as shit, getting pumped about the game.
Yeah.
And it was the they were gonna throw Cole out, and I was like, I've never seen someone get ejected from a
No,
Hoop Fest
no,
game
it's-
for.
I've also never seen that many penalty, like
For
that
just-
many fouls called in a game.
guy-
That's why it all started.
The
in
ref,
the first place.
yeah, the whole thing was the ref goes, call your own fouls. And everyone's like, yep. Within maybe 10 seconds, he's whistling to call a foul for
He
someone.
might have whistled 15 times.
After that, it was him calling every foul for people. And it was like, you just said, call your own fouls. Now you're not doing that. You're running the game. And it's like, that was one of the hardest matches of Hoop Fest I've ever had to watch because nobody could play. It was the ref's game.
It was like watching actual basketball.
Yeah, it was just like, I thought we came here to watch street ball and people like scraping elbows and
Yeah,
kind
get
of
after
throwing
it.
some bows is like kind of the point.
By the way, we need to get our Hoop Fest team together. You, me, Gavin, and we're trying to make the bummiest Hoop Fest
Oh
team.
my God. It was
You, me, Gavin, and who's a good fourth that we could get? Some bum ass.
well, like McMahon.
I don't think I've ever seen him play basketball. Maybe he is short though. So John, come on the team with us. But I want to get the bummiest.
I do
Hoop Fest
remember
team.
us talking about that vaguely, but saying it, that's my favorite type of Hoop Fest is I'm not trying to be serious. I just
Martine.
Ooh, that would
I
be,
like Martine. His
Oh.
dreads flopping around.
dude. He'd be throwing some.
He's too strong, dude. He'll
Like-
fucking throw people.
like I think he would hurt someone for
Yeah.
sure. And-
Martine's too. I don't know. He's too nice.
Hey,
though.
I'm all down for. If you take someone on the other team out, I'm never gonna be like, I'll be like, oops, part of the game.
Okay, so you, me, Martine, and who? Who's the? What?
Gavin, you said Gavin.
Yes, Gavin. Yeah.
Oh,
That'll be the Hoop Fest team.
that is not a basketball team.
Yeah, we could be the bummy bastards. That's what we'll be.
I watch basketball. I love basketball, but I
can't play basketball to save
I
my
am the
fucking life.
perfect like representation of couldn't do anything with a ball in my hand though. I understand the game. I know who to pass to, and I know
execute.
when to pass to them. To actually make said pass, not happening.
No.
Making a shot, I have to reteach myself my jumper every time I hold a basketball.
Dude, my shot is so like for whatever reason, every time I shoot, my arms always go like this, so it just goes all fucking haywire.
I'll tell you this though. The reason that would be fun is
It'd be so
everyone
fun.
will go watch the good people, but if we're playing, we'll get a crowd.
We'll
I
get a
think.
crowd. We'll get a squad.
We want people to watch. That's all I want is people to come watch, and we just have fun.
I can make a read reviews highlight reel of it too. Put it on the channel.
Hoop Fest to me is the funnest weekend of the summer, where
So
I'm
fun.
just all like, everyone's out. Basketball's fun. We're all just having a good time. Super nice out. We're probably gonna hang out Saturday night maybe, and then come back out the next day. It's like, I love the atmosphere. Of
For
Hoop Fest.
quick context for any randos that might be watching, Hoop Fest is the largest 3-on-3 basketball tournament in the world, hosted here in Spokane, Washington.
Yeah.
And it's like a holiday in Spokane, and there are tens of thousands
Shut
of
the
people that
city
come
down.
in town. Yeah, they shut down all the streets. They put
Sweet.
up all these courts, hundreds of them, I think now. At
There's
this point.
literally it all is done by volunteers the night before.
Yep.
Everyone comes out and does throughout the night. They shut down all the downtown roads, and every single street has endless amounts of courts.
Yeah,
It's-
bring in food trucks, bring in
Oh,
people
it's-
from all over. They have legit professional basketball players. I think
Kevin Durant
yeah,
came
KD come here
with,
a couple years ago.
with this trophy after winning with the
Yeah.
Warriors.
Yeah.
Came to Hoop Fest that same season.
Yeah.
That is the biggest we've ever had for
Yeah.
sure. I cannot believe that happened.
Yeah, so pro players come. They have semi-pro players play in a championship game. They have a full court one, right? Full court championship.
Do they?
Yeah, I think that they have a full court and a half court.
I don't know.
You know what? Maybe they don't have a full court one because the whole point of it is
always-
the half court street
There's always
ball
so
thing.
much happening, and there's so many games. It's like I'm constantly just moving
overwhelming.
to the next thing. You never have time to even think. And
Yeah.
it's like I know some people would hate it because it's like it's stimulation overload.
I love stimulation
It's-
overloads.
It is the most people in the city at once. You're like shoulder to shoulder in every part of downtown. You're never not going to like have someone standing right next to you. So it's like, it's a lot of people. That's why I love it though. I know some people are like, this is the last thing I want to be doing is be around all these people downtown. Fuck no. Me, I'm like, this is ideal. It feels like a giant ass party that everyone gets to go to and have a good ass time. Like it's so fun.
Mm-hmm.
I fucking love Hoop Fest.
It's dope. We'll start wrapping up here because we're running low on time here.
Ooh.
We didn't talk about any movies or TV
Nah,
shows. Not really.
Really.
I had the one thing, like we said, it was a short turnaround for the next episode. It was only been 5 days since we talked about the last one.
Yeah.
And I watched a ton of stuff for that. And the only thing that I've watched since then is Arcane. And Arcane, I don't really want to talk about because what I want to talk about are spoiler heavy things. So I don't really want to talk about that.
If anything,
about that with you.
that'll be the thing. And like scrap Attack on Titan. That doesn't really need. That can happen at any
Yeah,
time.
that's fine.
But like
Arcane's modern and
with
current.
Arcane having just come out, and I've at least seen the first.
It's
season,
all out now.
and I know
So
like
you can binge it all.
I'll like it. It's not like I'm sitting there thinking like, oh, this is gonna suck. Like
No,
I
it
like
is-
the first season, so I already know.
It is. I'll just say this. It's top 5 TV shows for me. Ever. I love it. It's up there with like Avatar, Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, Arcane.
There we go.
Staticky little fucked up.
Stupid Mike.
It is. So we complained a little bit about how it's taking too long to make shows, and Invincible, it doesn't make any sense because that is very basic, simple animation. Arcane, it does kind of make sense, and especially diving deeper into the show and getting along further. Every single shot, everything they do, it's like they are making this show in posters to put on your wall. It is
The way
fucking cool.
The way it looks and their animation style, I think, proves at least that's what they're putting up where they're like, this is why it takes a long time. Like, look how good this looks. And we have to take our time.
Not only does it just look awesome and it's so cool, but it is so unique. It's such a different animation style. Like I said in the last podcast, the only time you'd see animation style is like watching one of the League of Legends cinematics. But this is like a League of Legends cinematic, literally, obviously, on steroids times 10. It's because it's a whole fucking show. And the second season looks even better than the first season. It started off a little bit slow for me where I was like, oh, okay, it's not as good as the first season. You kind of expected that. I mean, the first season is like, the first 3 episodes of the first season are like 10 out of 10 TV for me. The whole first season as a whole, maybe like a 9 out of 10. And this kind of started the opposite, whereas like the first 3 episodes were like, oh, okay, they're fine, they're good. The second 3 episodes are like, okay, this is fucking cool. And then the last 3 episodes, it's like, oh my God, we're going into some awesome stuff. But I don't want to say more than that because it's pretty spoilery, and I want you to watch it without any other context because it's just fucking cool. Watch a recap, watch the second season.
And when it comes to stuff these days where it's like, it was like this with Dune. Dune Part 1 came out, and I was like, that was really good. But maybe there was something left. And it's like, for a
there wasn't something left. Everything was left, baby.
Yeah, the people who are invested in the project and know like the grand scheme where they're like, if we have to make it this way in order for it to even be better for the further stuff. God damn. And, oh my God. Is it working? There it goes. To know that the Penguin had some, like, I remember I said episode 7 where I was like, ooh, like nothing happened. Stuff did happen, but I was like, oh, we ended the same spot that we started. But then by episode 8, after the finale, I was like, no, it actually makes full sense why they did that the way they did it. Like, a lot of stuff, it is hard sometimes when they do like 3 episodes at a time because you can't tell yet, like, what are they setting up for? Like, you have to finish it out and know if it's going to complete the thing to know if it makes the other stuff better.
I will say that season 2 gets a lot more anime. Towards the end, it gets very anime, like anime, like Japanese anime. Like, I'm not going to try to explain it because I don't want to spoil things. But like, it just gets. You have to be ready to sit down and watch. And like, this show makes you cry. This show makes you laugh. This show makes you feel like all the emotions, which is what I always talk about with entertainment. If it's making you feel something, it's doing its goddamn job, and this show does its job with that. But yeah, it gets very anime at the end where things get very confusing, a little convoluted. I think I'm probably going to watch it again. Nice. Not only just because it's so cool looking, but also the story is awesome and how much better it gets, but just to understand it a little bit better because things happen in this. And if you watch it, which I hope you do, it'll be tough by the next episode, but because we got Thanksgiving and it's going to be.
You'd be if I want
if you get sucked in, you'll binge.
If I want to finish it, I can.
Yeah, and if you go in, start watching it, and you end up finishing it, and we can talk about it, I really want to because it is cool, and I like to talk about like how it ends and where that's going. So that's all I'll say about that. But with that, we're probably going to get bitched at by a security guard here soon, so we're going to wrap up the podcast. This could be the longest one that we've done. I know I said that last time, and it only ended up being an hour 35.
Yeah.
But we didn't even talk about movies. It might be the longest one we did. We just talked about nonsense, politics, AI, the future of humanity.
It's kind of how
beautiful.
It is. That's what this is.
That's what I want it to be.
I remember coming in, I was like, I don't have anything to talk about, but I was like,
we'll be okay.
I think I'm fine.
Yeah. I figured you didn't either because I barely did.
Yeah.
So it all works out in the end. But thanks again, everybody, for coming by. Give us a like, subscribe, comment, feedback, anything that you want to see. You can leave if you are watching Arcane. Let me know what you're thinking about it because goddamn, I want to talk to people about this show. Yeah. I love it. Matt's like the only other person I really get to talk to about it. So hopefully he watches that soon because he was at the Seahawks game when it came out. Mm-hmm. But anyways, thanks for coming by. Have a good rest of your day.
Peace.